It's harder. It's just harder. It's harder to be yourself. They say you go to college to find yourself and find who you're supposed to be. Da, da, da. I know who I want to be. It don't fit the description here.
Butler University, a private institution in Indianapolis, Indiana, with 5,763 students. As of fall 2024, 80% of students are white. While numbers suggest that 1 in 5 students are a minority, that 20% isn't enough to ease students like DDA Rojito, who say they often feel overlooked, judged, and lonely. Butler's mission is to provide education for all, carrying the responsibility to cultivate a campus community that is diverse, inclusive, and equitable. As a private, predominantly white institution, its division of DEI aims to bring that mission to life, striving to be a university where everyone is valued and able to flourish. However, the efforts made by the university to create a diverse, inclusive, and equitable campus aren't always felt by students in practice, resulting in a disconnect between its intention and their lived experiences. In the classroom, students of color often carry an extra weight on their shoulders, being the only student of color in the room and expected to represent an entire identity.
I think one of the challenges that I hear about miscellaneously, I wouldn't say a lot, but enough that it seems to be a challenge, is being singled out in class. There are many students of color who feel like they need to be the expert on their identity or identities that they don't even hold, but because they're a student of color, they're expected to, or it's assumed that they do.
When the questions are about race and things they know I come from, it feels like everybody's expecting me to answer. And that's the thing I have a problem with, because if we're all supposed to be in class, I'm not going to be the only black person in class talking about black topics just so y'all don't have to say anything. I'm not going to be that person.
Aside from the unwanted spotlight, some students of color feel as though their academic experience has been great.
I have really enjoyed my time here academically. It's definitely been the right amount, I feel, of kind of it being easy at first. And as I've progressed more into my academics, it's definitely been something that's become more difficult. But I feel very supported in the business school. I really enjoy my career mentor. My academic advisor is super great. Um, yeah, I don't really have any complaints academically. It's everything that I probably expected coming to college.
On the other hand, students of color's social experiences don't receive the same praise their academics do. Lamaria Branch chose to walk away from Butler after 1 year, a decision influenced by her social experiences.
It just felt like no matter how much I tried, it was very like it wasn't easy making friends. It was even when I had friends, I feel like, is this really my circle, or do I am I just getting along to be alone, or do I actually feel like I fit here? And then on top of that, I feel like being a minority, that was obviously like a played a big part. Like there was times I'd be like walk around campus and I felt other. Like you walk past a group of my white counterparts and it's like you see the stares, you see the looks, and you try to ignore it, but it's like there's only so much ignore you can do. And especially when there's not a lot of people that look like me on campus, it doesn't leave much room to explore.
The university understands that college can be challenging both academically and socially. Struggles not exclusive to just students of color. There are specific initiatives, resources, and faculty at Butler which support students of color and help create a sense of belonging. Butler is home to the Hub for Black Affairs and Community Engagement, the Compass Center, and 11 cultural organizations within the Efroimson Diversity Center that work together to create a supportive environment.
But on the social side, I would be remiss if we didn't spend a lot of time talking about the Diversity Center and the work that Randall Ojeda and his team have done to really create a space for students to feel seen and cared for and loved. This is not on the social side, but it's kind of mixed. The Hub, I think, has been a really great resource with Dr. Reed, Dr. Fletcher, Dr. Van Hester, to really be intentional about how do we make sure that we are engaging in Black intellectual thought while also creating a space where students, faculty, and staff can feel like they can connect on that level as well. Sometimes the Compass Center hosts different partners with different organizations that are bringing in diverse voices and thoughts to really help elevate and think through what is the experiences of marginalized voices in community.
With the numerous resources available for students of color, one would think that Butler is doing enough to support them within their capacity. And maybe they are, but those resources and support systems don't always translate.
I also think that, we're a predominantly white institution that really values and has talked about that in a variety of different ways on the surface level and in conversation and on website about, hey, we value diversity. And I do believe that to be true. I think Dr. Marbury has done a phenomenal job, and other administrations have done a phenomenal job of trying to really elevate Black voices and be really intentional and strategic about diversity. But I think what's also on these other side of the same coin is the idea that, a university can do a lot, but that may not always necessarily be felt by the students, right? And so we can do all these things and students may not feel that. And so there's also another level of it that I think that's a common kind of shared challenge is we see that this is what is happening or being said, but students may not be feeling it in the same way. And so how do we translate that down in a way that students feel supported and seen? And oftentimes that is a cultural, that requires other students to be active and engaged. It requires other students to create spaces for our students of color, and not at the expense of them, but to, but sometimes maybe, but really to like understand that like, hey, if we're going to do this right, if we're going to do this together, then this is what this needs to look like.
So then the question remains, why isn't the work done by faculty, staff, and the university as a whole translating? The university's efforts can often fall short, leaving the responsibility of creating an inclusive campus culture on other students. But what spaces are other students truly creating for Butler students of color? Are they places of support, belonging, and inclusion, or spaces filled with racism, judgment, and discomfort?
The culture of the actual place here, I don't think it accepts me. Just put it flat. I don't think so. Like, they accept my being here. They accept my presence. I don't think they accept my story though. Because my story starts from eating African food since 2, playing on a dirt field in recess, growing up with drug dealers, growing up with people that shoot people, grew up with people that sold drugs to make a living, to get out of their parents' house, to get a car, to do things, to make a living. But I don't think they want to hear that because it's past 38th Street. That's all stuff that they would never want to experience for themselves. So they don't want to experience it for themselves in a person. Like, I just want to be myself for a day, genuinely. And I have not been able to do it. Like, I want to be able to roll on Sunset Avenue in my minivan, blasting trap music because I want to. Because I want to. Just because I want to and not feel judged based on looks of frat boys and soror girls and lacrosse girls, and maybe the soccer girls are over here looking at me like, you know what I'm saying? I'm driving on Frat Row. If I got a whole group of sorority girls driving past me, they scratching their heads, I don't want to have to feel less of myself. You know what I'm saying? It feels like I'm in a cage when I'm walking. That's what it feels like. Like I'm always up for display.
It was just me, my roommate, and my 2 suite mates. We were sitting down just having regular girl talk, and my suite mate, she was texting somebody, and then she told us that he had called her the hard ER. But instead of just saying the hard ER, she, of course, said it out loud. And it got quiet. Everybody looked at each other, and I asked my suite mate, did she just say the hard ER? And my suite mate nodded awkwardly. So I looked at Addie, And I said, why would you say that? And she started being like white girl scared and acting immediately defensive. She was like, oh, I was just repeating what he called me, this and that. And I don't know. After that, I just stormed out the room. I went to my bed. Nobody else said anything to her but me, which kind of made me uncomfortable because I was in the suite with all white blonde girls. So it made me feel even more alone just hearing my suite mates say that and nobody else did it for me.
Oh, I most definitely experienced racism. That was definitely one of the factors as well, but not as big. But one of the factors that was one of my decisions to leave. I had a friend, her name's Wanda, because I almost said the girl actual name, and we were all sitting, and Wanda brought over her friend Jacob. So Wanda brings over Jacob to sit at the table with us. Okay, cool. I don't care. I'm a welcoming person. As long as you meet me with the same energy I meet you, it does not matter to me. Jacob, however, was not very welcoming. Jacob said, and you sat next to me, Jacob. So it's like you would think you would extend the olive branch. I said, hi, Jacob. Jacob says nothing to me. So I go about my day. We're eating our food. It's lunchtime. Cool. Jacob, just the whole time acting weird, making faces, looking at me. And I was just trying to figure out why. I get up to go throw away my plate. Jacob flinches. And I don't mean like I mean Jacob full on like entire body language has just changed. And I'm like, did I do something? Obviously in my head, I already know what it is. But I'm like gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, Jacob, why did you flinch? Jacob replies, I thought you were going to hit me. Whoa. Whoa. That no, like I've experienced racism before, but I don't know, something about already being at a predominantly white school that hit me like that. That hit me like in my heart. Like I was angry, but not even just angry, sad and disappointed. Because I have hung out with Jacob before, not like in an intimate setting by myself, but like with friends. So I was like, oh, whoa, Jacob, if you haven't already put together is white. So Jacob, he starts to laugh. I don't know. I thought you were gonna hit me and laugh at me. But that's not funny. In my head, I'm thinking that's not funny. And then I go, was that racially motivated? Because at this point, I'm. If you also know me, you know I'm bold. I'm gonna say how I feel. Will we exist in this world not to? Why would we not? So I asked Jacob. I said, was that racially motivated? Jacob laughs and said, maybe. So at that point, that's insensitive. That's insensitive. You're disregarding how I feel, and you're gonna be ignorant about the situation. At that point, I threw away my plate and walked away.
Despite the criticism, some students of color have had a great experience at Butler. However, the positive experience is accredited to the institution rather than their experience with other students.
I like this campus. I like that it's given me the opportunity to give back to the Asian community and work with other Asian community organizations like the Philippines Cultural Community Center and then the Filipino Student Association down at IUPUI or IUI now. I like the classroom size. It's been able to help me like connect with the professors a little bit more rather than if I were in a large state school, then I feel like I would have a harder time trying to connect with the professors. Socially, I've had a difficult time up front, but now I found my circle, I found my people, I found like the group of friends that I've been able to hang out with a lot and do hangouts with, but yeah, I like Butler University and I'm thankful that I came here.
Students of color feel there are things the university and its students have to understand in order to feel supported.
I feel like Butler does try. They have a strong sense of DEI implements, but at the end of the day, it does come from the students make up the school and they make up the campus. So it can't just be Butler. The students also have to be willing to try and make DEI on campus a little bit stronger.
Listen more. If you want to know how to be an ally, listen. Being an ally doesn't always mean taking action or talking for them because we can do that on our own. It's listening and asking, what do you need from me? Because I feel like I didn't get a lot of that at Butler. What do you need from me to make your life more acclamable at Butler? What can I do to help you feel more adjusted and belong to Butler? And I didn't get a lot of that.
I think you have to accept the fact that we all come from different backgrounds. There are some of us who are blessed enough to come from the suburbs, and there are some of us who are in the middle of that, and there are some of us who do come from the trenches, per se.
These issues can be addressed, but that requires Butler to take intentional, concrete action.
I think some of these challenges can be addressed by the institution continuing to invest in strategically creating avenues for equity, which I know is that whole sentence is very big and flowery, but I think that's where we have to start. The institution is invested in equity. Therefore, that means we need to really deeply understand the experiences of those who potentially have more roadblocks than others so that we can do what we can to address those roadblocks in a sustainable way. So if we find through research of student experiences that students of color are feeling othered in class, what is our orientation of new faculty and staff like that addresses that issue, where we train folks on what does it mean to understand your implicit bias? How can you wrap your head around the fact that implicit bias is real and attempt to address it so that you don't other students in class, right? Like there's steps to that. Understand the need, create a strategy, implement the strategy so that we all sing the same song in supporting our students. That feels to me like the biggest way we might do that. But also we have some really great things in place. For example, we have what's called the Inclusion Advocate Program on Butler's campus, which is a program that trains faculty on how to participate in the search process for new faculty and staff on campus in a more inclusive way. That's a great equitable step to be taking. How do we enhance that program to be relevant for each person that we bring to campus for interviews, right? Like things like that, if we could expand and grow and improve, I think we're on a really good path to do such a thing.
I've always been a believer that culture starts from the bottom up, and that our job is to create space for students to co-create and have ownership. And so I think the next iteration of Butler is to create spaces for students to have more vibrant expressions of who they are in more public places and opportunities, whether that's art, whether that's music, whether that is showcases, but that when students can engage with and be a part of their creative side, and it doesn't even have to be creative like in a music sense, it can be in a variety of different ways. I think that is one way that students can see, because I think that the quote unquote diversity, it's not a diversity issue, but the culture part of campus, faculty and staff can do whatever we want, but it really comes down to students saying like, this is something that matters to us. And I think that comes over time. And I think that comes with being intentional about how we elevate and celebrate the Black voices on campus.
Take us seriously. When we tell you we're suffering, when we tell you we're not happy, when we tell you things are not right, take us seriously. Because I feel like I wasn't taken seriously. And what I didn't share is I went to multiple faculty members about the things I experienced. I went to multiple people, the financial and the advising and the student services, and no one was able to accurately help me. Take us seriously, and specifically to Black women. Take Black women seriously, because I feel like Black women are deemed strong so that when we do have issues, or when we are sad, or when we are mad, or when we just feel anything outside of well put together, we're not taken seriously.